Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. We have a very informative show for you here today. Our guests today are veteran service officers, and they're from the American Legion. With us today, we have Rich Lennon. Rich is a service officer for the department, and he's also the 1st District Commander for the American Legion.
Thanks for having me.
And that encompasses Harford County. We also have K. Robert Lewis. He is the Department Service Officer. He holds the position. Everybody answers to him up there. And it's a pleasure to have you here today. It really is. We usually start off the show by thanking everybody for their service. And on behalf of the viewers and
Thanks, Chuck.
and the crew here at the Veterans Corner, we want to thank you for your service and the continued service that you do with the American Legion. We have a lot to cover today, so why don't we jump right into this?
Outstanding.
You know, there's different areas. A lot of people don't realize this. You've got the post-service officer, you've got the municipal veterans contact, and you also have the department service officers who are accredited representatives. What's the difference between those three?
Rich,
Well, I can start out with the post-service officer. You know, initially a post-service officer could submit your claim and pretty much see your claim through to the finish. In today's world, the post-service officer is your initial point of contact. They will then refer you on to us up at the department service office, and we pretty much will take care of the paperwork. Up there, they more or less are getting them started and introduced to us, and have them gather whatever necessary documents that they need.
They're right there on the front lines.
Yeah.
Sure, and that's where the American Legion post strength lies. We're in every town nationwide, pretty much. And so a post-service officer may or may not be the mandated municipal veterans contact that the governor put into place several years ago under the previous Veterans Affairs Commissioner. And those folks coordinate with post-service officers, and they pretty much feed to the state of Connecticut Department service officers. So in Connecticut, the people who can actually work your claim, there's the service officers with the American Legion, myself, Rich, and our partner Tom Wood, the service officer with the VFW, the Purple Heart, DAV. There's 3 there. There are sundry agents and lawyers out there, but not everyone can take your claim and work your claim for you because the laws change. There's liability responsibility. So if a post-service officer was working a claim for you, Chuck, and say it was Rich, and he was working a claim at the post level, and used some old information or wasn't sure of the current timelines and got something in and missed a date on a filing thing, which cost you $28,000. He's representing the Legion. There's a liability for us.
Yeah.
So everything goes through the accredited representatives, and that means we are trained and accredited by the American Legion and the National Veterans Legal Services Program, and we do that twice a year. It's a nice trip. It's to Washington in the winter and Indianapolis in the summer. We kind of figured if we could flip them, but it doesn't work that way. And
nice.
We go through training for 3 days, and we take a test, and you have to score a certain amount, and so far all of us are there. And so what we do is we bring our expertise from the post-service officers, and we train them all the way up to the department level, because it's important that veterans and their dependents and their survivors get the benefits that they have earned. And sometimes they don't know what's out there, and sometimes as we all know, as veterans that have been in different clubs, one of the greatest lines, well, I was talking to so-and-so and he said this. And that's how many of our conversations start.
Yeah.
So there is a difference, and a very distinct difference, but we would not succeed without a post-service officer.
I mean, they're right there in the line. I know a lot of I think Plainville, I may be wrong, but I think Plainville, their municipal veterans contact are the Legion, aren't they? I know they meet a couple times during the course of the month.
Yeah.
When they first came out with that, that requirement, and had it been mandated, I think they would have had to pay people. But it was a requirement. I contacted all the post-service officers, put it in the department notices. If your post has a service officer, have them contact the town.
Yeah.
They know all that the town needs for them to do a good job, and it's good for us as an organization, and it's a good feeder for us.
Yeah.
Trust me, we don't need any. We're not out there beating the bushes because we don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
We have plenty of clients.
You know, what is the scope of the service officer's duties? What's your everyday routine, or is there? It varies.
I would say it's very broad. And,
Yeah.
and daily duties. In our daily duties, you think you've heard it all, and believe me, you haven't, because somebody will call you with something you never heard.
Well, and encompassed in that, or encapsulated in that, is that Rich works with the homeless veterans.
Yeah.
So we're helping transition homeless veterans into hopeful veterans. We work with widows and widowers to get benefits for burial benefits, survivor benefits. So that's on a pension side.
Yeah.
We work with veterans to on their education benefits, on their VOC rehab benefits, and on their service-connected disability benefits. And we've been pretty successful for a pretty small office. I think Rich probably has some numbers on what our client load is. So when I say that we're busy, but we haven't reached that point of where we actually have to say we can't take your claim, because technology allows us to do things quicker, better, faster. Technology supported by the VA. Unfortunately, sometimes we're not always supported by the VA. We're waiting to get certain things done. But technology is such that in the future we'll be able to sit here in the studio and interview clients and look up their claim online with them sitting here, as long as we represent them. One of the things that some people do not understand is a post-service officer, department service officer, when they say, Rich, I want you to check my claim. Well, if Rich doesn't represent me, he can't do that.
Yeah.
And
Confidentiality.
There's confidentiality and there's laws, and we follow those. And it's very hard not to have a conversation with a veteran where you have to remind yourself, this is confidential, this is this veteran's personal information. So part of that accreditation is we have to follow all of the privacy laws and rules of the U.S. government, and we have to test, and we have to be signed off all the time. We have to have passcodes and passkeys, and I always thought that, I joked that they keep us locked up so they can keep an eye on us, but it's not. It's because
there's a lot to
information.
it. There's an awful
There's
lot
a whole
to
lot
it.
to it.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of training involved, and rightfully so, because you want to sit there and provide the best possible service you can to the veterans. You know, you were talking about laws and all that, and I guess that leads into my next question. What are some of the laws, governing the veteran benefits?
Federal veterans benefits are governed by the U.S. Code, just like any other organization, any other agency, and the main title is Title 38. And it's entitled Veterans Benefits, and we were going to bring a copy of that, and which is about that thick, as a prop, and we have a book that's called a Veterans Benefits Manual, which helps us interpret that book. And this book is just as large as this book. And we are governed by any precedent-setting rulings of the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. People think that everything's done just at the regional office.
Yeah.
Filing a claim can lead you as far as the Supreme Court. There have been cases filed. One of the cases that went to the Supreme Court that I wish hadn't was a case that the Second Circuit found for those Navy veterans that were serving in blue waters off of Vietnam. The Second Circuit found in the veterans' favor that they were considered exposed to
Agent Orange.
herbicides like Agent Orange. The VA took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court overturned that case. Now, that was some 18 years ago, and lo and behold, what's in Congress now is legislation sponsored by our senator, Mr. Blumenthal, supported by Mr. Murphy, about making the blue water sailors eligible for the same presumption.
Yeah.
Because one, it speeds up the claim process, and two, the VA was actually kind of inventing ways to say no. So the laws are supposed to work in the favor of the veteran, and it's our job as service officers to make sure that it does.
Yeah.
And we have to remind them if it's equal, if there's a possibility that this claim is service connected, and it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe is the level of proof required. It's not beyond the reasonable doubt, a presumption, a preponderance.
To reach the burden
It's
of
maybe.
proof. Yeah.
It's equipoise, and then the weight of the argument by law goes to the veteran's favor. And we have been successful with many appeals on that, just reminding them. And part of that is because when a doctor does an examination for a physician, the level of a diagnostic statement is beyond the reasonable doubt.
Okay.
Well, if they're examining you and they say, I can't make that statement, they're not supposed to have to. It's like, can it be? Maybe. If this and this equal, then the claim goes. And so we're fortunate that I always look at it as they're just uneducated, and our job is to work with the veterans, make sure that they understand that the VA, at least to my knowledge, isn't waiting for them to die.
Yeah.
But they just made a mistake. It's our job to point it out to them and to help them get the benefit. It's not about an argument. It's about
Checks and balances.
It's about checks and balances that ultimately ends up in that check. Yeah. So I said, this is about money. So we can argue or we can get you paid. And if they earn it, then it's there. And Rich, we were talking about some numbers earlier, and our little office now, we have, I think, over 2,000 clients. And what was our take in the last? Not our take.
Yeah.
Our veterans.
You know, the total for Veterans Award recovery from 10/15 through The 16th of this month is $10,789,784.70.
Wow.
Just from our office.
And that's cash benefit to the veteran, and that's about a 70% number because there's other benefits that aren't all inclusive. And let me point out that unlike an agent or a attorney, there is no fee.
Yeah.
There's no fee for our services. There never is. There never has been. There never will be.
Yeah.
And that's the strength of the American Legion. When we were founded, that was the first of the four pillars: veterans rehab.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
Now that number right there, that's just for your office at the American Legion. That's not the VFW, DAV.
No,
that's just strictly
American Legion.
That's for clients in this state that we hold POA for. Power of attorney. I think we have some about 2,300 clients, active clients now. Wow. And they're in different stages, but as long as there's an active claim, it's an active claim. And so it's rewarding, and it's one of those jobs. And let me just state up front, our office would be lost without the services of a full-time volunteer like Rich Lennon.
Yeah.
I'm a paid professional. Rich is a professional, but he's not paid. He does it because he feels it in his heart.
It's from his heart.
It's from my heart.
And
on behalf of the
and
veterans.
I think it's great.
And you've been doing this for a while too. You've been doing it for a number of years.
Well, I've been accredited for 4 years, and I've been volunteering in that office since 2010, about this time in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Javier Correa, when he was a service officer, asked me if I'd like to come up there and kind of help out, and I said sure.
It's a special thing.
Got me hooked.
It's a special thing you're doing, and you know, on behalf of all the veterans that you've helped out, you know, thank you.
I enjoy it, or I wouldn't be there. It's very rewarding, I believe.
Yeah, keep up the great work. How does the disability claim process work for a veteran? I know it's a long process.
I'm glad you asked that, because nowadays the process with technology, as I mentioned earlier, veteran service organizations and the VA, we basically partnered and we agreed that we will use a process known as a fully developed claim, where in the past a veteran would say, I want to file a claim on my leg, on my back, on my PTSD, and then would file the claim, and every so often would come up with new doctor's reports or evidence or statements, and that would take a long time. Now with the fully developed claim process, we'll work with veterans, and let me say up front for people listening, if you're a veteran thinking about filing a claim, do not go to the VA and file your claim and then come and see us. Come and see us and we'll help you file that claim. Why is that important? Because when you file a fully developed claim, you are certifying that all the information needed to rate that claim is in that packet, and they can go ahead and rate that claim. And what is happening is people are turning these in incomplete, and they're coming back and they come and see us and say, I got turned down. We'd love it if the regional office referred people to the different VSOs, but we make it work. But what happens if you come to see me in the morning and say, I want to file a claim, we'll get your DD-214, we'll file a POA so that we can actually help you, and we'll file what's known as a intent to file claim. Why is that important? Because it gets us into the system, it grants me access to the necessary files, and it secures tomorrow as the date of the claim. Yeah. So we have a full year to get all that stuff together and file it, and when we give it to them, then the claim goes through, and from the time that the VA gets that information, in Hartford at least, they've been pretty good. It's between 65 and 85 days, which is not bad. Some regional offices, Oakland for one, had a backlog where they weren't even getting to an initial claim for over 700 days.
Wow.
So
That's pretty bad.
it's a pretty bad. So we're fortunate in this state. I think we're fortunate that we have aggressive service officers too, where we remind the VA as often as it takes. We're in their building, we're on their network, but we don't work for them. We work for the veteran and whatever's right for them. And so I know one of the things that we should probably mention is we're located at the Newington VA Hospital. If people want to come and see us, come into the hospital, go up to the 4th floor. Ideally, first give us a call, make an appointment, because if you recall, we have 2,300 clients. I'm probably working on somebody else's case, and I don't want to get you upset when I say I can't see you right this minute. You can find us we do outreach to the different vet centers. Currently, I go to Three Rivers Community College. We're doing at the South Park Inn.
South Park Inn. I also do the
Over in Hartford.
Hartford in the old G. Fox building, the community college there.
It's right on Main Street, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And so
that works out pretty well.
you can find us on the Legion website. There's a if you go online on the www.legion.org site and click on that you want to contact a service officer from our state, it'll go to Rich's email, because National has him listed as that address, and for some reason, because I used to work in DC, I'm still listed there.
Yeah.
So he gets all of the mail. And for people that have a smartphone, there's a smartphone app that the Legion has out. It's called Claims Coach. It's free. There's no cost. It helps you put your claim together. It helps you contact us, and we can do it all online. My first Claims Coach contact was from a Air Force veteran calling from Bahrain, where he was a pilot for Bombardier, was flying an expensive executive jet over there, and was calling to file a claim. When he got back, he said, I just wanted to see if this thing worked. And it did. So we're at the Newington VA Hospital.
Is there a phone number that you want to get to the viewers?
Yes, please. For the American Legion Department Service Office is 860-594-6600. You may go to voicemail. Please leave your name, number, and a brief message. For some reason, the voicemail prompt just says name and number, and we get some odd names and numbers.
We're just about out of time. You want to just repeat that number again, so in case I didn't get it the first time?
If you need the help of an American Legion service officer, it's 860-594-6600, and we are there to help. And it's a job that when I worked for Congress, I used to tell my wife, we get to make people's lives better every single day just by doing what we're supposed to do, because I could be making a lot more money doing something else, and this is near and dear to our hearts. And Rich could actually be getting paid.
Well, listen, I got to tell the viewers, I mean, that's all the time we have for today. We could continue,
And that went
and we
by,
can actually do a part 2 on this show.
We can.
And maybe down the road we will. We hope that the viewers found this very informative. Want a special thanks to both of you for being here. I mean, that's part of this show, is to get information out to the viewers, not only the veterans, but the veterans' families and the community. So thank you very much for being here.
And thank you for having us.
You know, a special thanks to our sponsors, We have the American Legion Post 209 in Forestville, the Fisher House of Connecticut, and we also have the Bristol Blues, which is a baseball team in Bristol. They play down at Muzzy Field. We're actually going to be having them on the show very shortly. They do a lot of things for the veterans. So at this time, I'd like to say thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Woodin. Good night.